Okay, so let's talk about the early look. Okay, so it's a daily product. It's very often written by Keith, but some of the other analysts do chip in every now and again. Um, if there's something important that they want to talk about, or people are taking vacation, stuff like that. In general, it's sort of a 3, 4, 5 minute read. Maybe it's always started off by the, what would you call it, like the executive summary, little short snippets, um, sort of important points. Um, in general, the early look, it's either looking back at the previous days, maybe something big went on in the previous day, or looking ahead, or looking for the day ahead. It's not um, long kind of pontificating this, that, or whatever months ahead. No, it's very like I say, either yesterday or today. It's very short term. Okay. This one particularly here is on a Monday, and Mondays in general are Macro Monday. So Keith will go through major FX moves, equities, commodities, bond yields, and then the sector ETFs, all through the lens of the quad. And in addition to that, his signal process. So his signal process is additional to the quads. Okay. A particular ETF might be a long in, for us now, quad 2, but if it isn't signaling bullish, then it doesn't mean doesn't mean it's always going to be included just because it's quad 2. Okay. A bit that people don't generally, they notice it when they have it, but what they don't know about the early look product is it does include some risk ranges. Okay. And it's not exhaustive. It's not the full set that you get in the specific risk range product. But it does give you a little bit of extra information, not in terms of prices or anything like that, but Keith has to make a decision about what to include every day. He talks often about his, rise and grind, all the stuff that he goes through on a daily basis. But he has to pick what goes in here. So he has to take the time to take it out of whatever process he's using to generate risk ranges to include them in here. So it gives you an extra layer of information, actually, because if you have to take the extra time to take it out of risk ranges to put it into here, then you're going to pick the ones that are the most important. Now, in general, things like the 10-year yield, major indexes, oil, gold, dollar, will always be there, but you can take a little bit of extra information if something gets included, like for instance, recently GameStop went in here only very briefly, 1 or 2 days, but it was after the big sharp increase in price, so then it fell. So there was an opportunity to trade it very short term, and it was included in here, again only for 1 or 2 days. You'll often see maybe something that you would expect, an ETF that you would expect, say for the quad that you're in, either is added or removed from here. It's an extra piece of information, okay? So in general, it is a daily product. In general, it's very specific on one major point. It's a way for Keith to pass on information, but in general about 1 or 2 major things, whether it's market specific or kind of in general behaviorally specific, around perhaps emotions that are coming out in the market, things like that. The one thing, it's in that way it's similar to the macro show, but in no way is it replacing the macro show because of the format that they're both in. It's they're very different, and the information that you get from each is important in its own way. Just for me personally, I tend not to read the early look as one of my first things to do. because the information tends to come out all at the same time, and I do my risk ranges, watch the macro show, and then tend to come back and read this, 1 or 2 hours into the US market open. That's what works for me. So yeah, that's the early look. I'm going to